Sound Engraver keeps following whatever's going on in the AI sphere with AI art and whatnot. And apparently there was, I didn't hear about it. I just, heard what she told me about it. I should have pressed her for more details because I didn't think to do that though. But you can fill in any blanks I have there, Sound Engraver. But there was a big federal court case or whatever in which now you can copyright stuff that you used AI to write, which I think is absolute ridiculous crap. That is just so absurd. I don't know. There's such desperation in people. Every time I talk about how AI is not just a tool. It's just a tool for me to write, especially with writing. Let's just talk about writing. You can't use AI to write. Well, it's just a tool. I use it just to generate ideas, and then it's your co-writer. Then you stole those ideas. Because AI goes out and gets all those ideas from other real people, and it amalgamates them all, and presents them to this. And well, I don't even take all the ideas it gives me. Oh, what do you want, a gold star? You're not coming up with this stuff on your own. And people will argue and they'll say, well, what's wrong with, can't you get inspired? Like what if Kevin J. Anderson was inspired by Iman to write Antibodies? So is he a plagiarizer because he was inspired by an idea? No, he took that idea and he made it its own. It was an organic act of inspiration. And then the person will come back and say, well, that's all I'm doing. I'm just, AI is giving me some ideas that happen to inspire me. No. Stop being so stupidly, insanely naive. AI went out and took those ideas from real people, real writers, presented an amalgamation of them to you as though it just fabricated them, which it didn't. And then you're going to take, oh, I'm inspired, and I think I'll do this thing with that amalgamation of an idea. Who's to say you're not going to do the exact same thing that the real writer did that the AI took that from? There's no trail. There's no organic inspiration. And a lot of people are going far beyond just using it to generate ideas. There are people who are straight up writing novels or writing stories and putting them on Amazon, self-publishing them everywhere with AI. And they try to pretend that, no, I'm still in the creative process because I'm telling it what to write about, and I have to go through and make sure it doesn't make any mistakes. Then you're an editor. That's the editor's job. Editors can sometimes have a great idea and hire. The writing is the actual work of putting the language on the screen, constructing the sentence, making the prose flow. And that is what I'm saying is an absolute dying art. With the prevalence of AI and the way that everybody's just falling all over themselves to try and defend this absurd way to create art, writing, they're not writing. They're not worrying about how to string together sentences anymore. They just let AI do that. There's this ridiculous notion, well, I've got the ideas, so I'm still in the creative process. It's still mine. I got the idea. No, the writing is the one word after another. It's the sentence construction. It's the flow of the prose. It's making sure you have strong verbs. It's making sure you have a variety of sentence types and sentence lengths. It's making sure that the prose style serves the content of the story as well. There's a great art that it takes a long amount of years to really work on and get that and get that well. And we're seeing that completely die off. And it's so funny to me too, because so many people that you see on the internet trying to defend this, they tend to be also people who would be more conservative politically. Not everybody, but I see a lot of people who are, against, government, this and that, and yet they want their AI, boy, they want their AI. And it's like, aren't you just basically being a socialist with writing? Well, it's a great equalizer. It levels the playing field. Weren't you just a second ago saying yay for meritocracy? Let's get rid of DEI and have meritocracy, and you actually have to earn this and that. But over here, once it comes to the hard work of writing, well, I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for AI. Then guess what? You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. I don't ever want to read anything from you if you couldn't have written it without, well, first of all, I'm not going to read it if you used AI anyway. But if you couldn't have gotten this book out without AI, then you don't deserve to get the book out. I'm just dropping hard truth. Now, the world doesn't care what I say. The world's moving beyond me, and that's what everybody's going to, AI for everything. And it's a slippery slope because so many people are like, well, if you just use it as a tool and just to get into it a little bit, that's okay. No, it's not. It's downhill. It's kind of like it's kind of like, well, maybe we should go back to the plow and horse and buggy. Yeah, that's the straw man argument. That's the straw man. Oh, so you don't like technology. You don't like, oh, well, let's just go back. Let's just get, and they try to say, well, AI, do you use a pencil? That's a tool. Do you use a computer? Well, do you use spell check? Well, that's a tool. No, no. There's a vast difference between those tools and what AI does. Remember when films and TV started to stream on streaming services? You could get things, you could buy a movie digitally instead of having to go out and pay for the DVD. And there were people back then, I remember, saying, this is going to herald an end, or at least a real thinning of physical media in general. And people scoffed, oh, that's silly, that's ridiculous. Physical media is not going anywhere. We still got this. And what's happened? I mean, physical media, thank goodness, hasn't disappeared, but it's become a very niche collector's thing. So many, it's unheard of that all these companies and stores, and they're just not going to sell physical media anymore because people just went to the digital thing. What about animation? Remember when they first started doing computer animation? I think Toy Story was like the big one, and they were doing it before then. And people were saying, well, it looks good, but it's not going to replace 2D animation. I mean, 2D animation's here to stay. We still need 2D animation, but what's wrong with computer animation? It's just a little bit of this, and that. And does anything 2D animated today? No, even stuff that looks 2D animated was still a computer doing it. I mean, 2D animation, you have to go on YouTube and find somebody like Mark, forgot his name now, Mark Pratt? Rob Pratt, who did the 2D Superman and the 2D. And I'm not saying that nothing should be computer animated. I'm just showing you how that slopes. But think about it, with everybody and with copyright laws now on the side of people who use AI to create, you're going to get everybody and their brother, I got an idea, I'm a writer. That doesn't make you a writer. That makes you every other human being in the world with an idea. Ideas are a dime a dozen. But they're going to use AI to start writing their stuff. And you can tell right away. You can tell when something's AI written. I know because as a writing professor, I've got to really develop an eye for that when I have students turning in papers. Does student use AI to generate this? There are little tells, and the software is getting better. But I guarantee you, even established writers are going to start relying on it a little bit, just a little bit, because it's just easy. It makes it a little easier. I'm just using it to outline, guys. I'm just using it to get the bare bones together, and then I'll go in and write it. Pretty soon, the art of actually having to string a sentence together will be lost. People will still be able to read sentences, but it's really hard work. Those of you who write, or who are, whether you're a trained writers or whether you've just been doing it for a while, whether you take your writing seriously in any way, especially if you've ever been to an editor, it is hard freaking work to get a sentence just right. I mean, you can free write it out. You can just get a good draft done, and that's fine. There's something to be said for just getting your ideas out at first. But going back and making sure that the sentence structures and that the prose is really flowing well, that's an art. That's something that people go to school for. That's something that is an acquired skill that takes a long time. And I'm just calling you right now, that skill is going to be out the window. It's going to be such a niche skill one day, somebody that can write. It's already that to a large degree. It used to be that people could write, people were taught to write in school, just basic, secondary school, much more than they are today. I see that as a college professor with students coming into my class out of high schools from every which way. They don't know the first thing. Their reading comprehension is crap, and they don't know the first thing about stringing an idea together in any sort of coherent fashion. It's and that's going to go even farther. The art of actually writing language, writing out the prose is it's got an expiration date. It's just going to be a few of us who still can do that. AI is going to take it over, and the way people are just desperate to be able to cut those corners to get them books out is just absurd. It's just so sad to see. I don't know. That's all I got to say about that. I could go off on it forever. But anyway.